Okay, I believe this is part 4, right? I started thinking about it. It's like I went and warmed my coffee up a little bit. So, wait, now I remembered where I was when I walked out there. There's just a lot to all of it as far as finding what works for you. Eating clean, as clean as you can, will give you the best results. So by clean eating, for me, what I've learned that to be, and this takes a lot of sacrifice, I think, in a way, and I think there's a couple of you on here not doing sugar, you know, and that's hard to do because basically if you think about it, you basically have to do, you're doing like your meats, your chicken, so your proteins, you know, your chicken, fish, tuna, turkey, egg whites, protein powder, if you can find any without sugar, if you're going to go completely low sugar. But basically if you stuck to your meats and your egg whites and then your complex carbs like your yams, oatmeal, cream of rice, rice, brown rice, potatoes, I think those are like, and some rice cakes. Those are your main ones, and then your vegetables. Then you have to just use herbs and, you know, stay away from sauces and stuff like that. That's pretty hard to do, especially if you're doing it for a long period of time. If you're getting ready for a show, it's not quite as bad because you have an end point. So, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel. You know where you're going and how long you have to do it. But for me, getting ready for a show, I've always kind of like eased into it and gradually cut things as I got closer. And then the last part of it's really, really super strict. You know, in the beginning, I learned to not do a cheat day. As I got going, the first years that I competed, I learned that a cheat day is really important, or a cheat meal. I used to do a cheat day. I can't do that anymore. See, that's another thing. It's like you can't do what you used to do. When I was younger, I could eat more junk and then my body would just burn it off. It doesn't work that way anymore. So a cheat meal can actually help you because it kind of, especially if you've been dieting. One, it gives you something to look forward to, and it keeps you sane to keep being strict. So if you're strict 6 days a week and then on one day you pick a cheat meal, your metabolism's so efficient that when you eat what you eat, your body will start to, like, it has to rev itself up to kind of use what you put into it. And it will actually help to speed everything up a little bit. So it can help you to keep you on track. One, because you get to have something and you don't feel deprived. And then two, it helps you actually physically for your body to, for the metabolism not to slow down. It keeps everything moving. So a cheat meal once a week, I think, is very important for a couple different reasons. That was leading me to something else that I wanted to talk about. Hold on. I don't want to waste the time on here, so let me just pause it for a second. Okay, I don't know if this is really what it was or not, but I want to go back to the steering wheel, the protein and the carbs. So basically, when you're trying to figure out what works, I think going by the grams of protein and the grams of carbs are the main things to go by, and then just clean food. Oh, fruits. Fruits was another thing. So if you go by a certain amount of grams of protein per pound of body weight, and same with your carbs, and you start with that and you're consistent with that, just those two things, if your body isn't changing, you would usually adjust your carbs. Sometimes it's a little bit of protein too that you have to adjust. So it just depends on what's happening with your body, how your body responds to what you do. But you have to have a starting point. And I think those are probably the two most important things to keep track of, are those two things. So back to the fruits. Fruits are another thing that I think are overly used because they are healthy. And they're very healthy, and so are vegetables, but usually people like to eat fruits more than they do their vegetables, and vegetables is more of an unlimited thing. I don't even really count those in, you know, when I'm doing a plan for somebody. Vegetables are kind of like an unlimited thing. You know, I'll write an amount on there, but I don't count it. It doesn't count towards the carbs that are in your diet. When I'm talking protein and carbs, we already talked about the protein, but when I'm talking carbs, I'm talking about, well, we talked about those too. I'm talking about just your complex carbs. Those are the two things that you need to keep track of. Now, when you're using the macro apps and stuff like that, they keep track of everything. So you're getting the carbs from the vegetables, and the carb and protein from everything else that you take in. And you don't want the protein. You don't want to include the protein from other stuff. You want it just from your meats, and you want the carbs just from your complex carbs. Those are the two main things. Everything else is just kind of extra. And that's the way I've always done it, because to me the vegetables don't really count. There's really nothing in them, so you don't really need to keep track of that part. So we're getting up there again. Let me cut this off and let me think if there's anything else, if we need a part 5. Do we need a part 5? I'll be back.